Hello, everybody. It's me. I'm streaming live, and I have a couple of new epic collections to show you. Um, First, before we do that, I just want to let everybody know because I know in a previous live stream I unboxed this book here, the Atlas Comics Library, Volume 2, Venus Volume 2. There's two Volume 2s, or number 2, I guess. And it had a big dent in the top, but I got it replaced. So you can all sleep easy now. I have a new copy of this, and I'm going to start reading it. Sure, it sure looks fun. Great golden age comics from the company that would eventually become named Marvel Comics. Uh, really fun stuff. So, if you don't know anything about this title, it stars Venus, the god Venus, come to Earth. It started off as a romance comic, but then took a turn during the last half of its short run to sci-fi and even a little bit of horror and stuff. And those sci-fi horror issues are collected in this volume, which takes place directly after the Marvel Masterworks Venus Volume 1, which is why this one's called Volume 2. So check that out. But meanwhile, we have, oh boy, lots of comments already. An early live show. That's right. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. I am enjoying my weekend so far. And then there's a comic art festival happening in Vancouver. It's called VanCaf. And I'm going to go check that out after this live stream. Should be fun. Um, oh, nice. Lots of people here. Hello, everybody. First time catching one of these lives, normally overnight UK time. Yeah, I try to do it at different times just so that it catches a good group of a cross section of people. Yeah, you poor people in the UK, unless you're like Phil Owens, who never sleeps, you won't be able to see me. Hello, Curtis and everyone. Nice to see your replacement of the old damaged book went smoothly. It did. I have to say, I have never had a problem with Indigo. Um, Whenever which is a major book publisher sorry, a book retailer here in Canada. Whenever I have problems, and it does happen on a fairly regular basis, they fix me up. I mean, not everyone's had positive experiences. They're a huge corporation, so not every single transaction goes smoothly. But personally, haven't had a problem. Love to see these comments. How's your day? My day's going really well. Did a little bit of house cleaning this morning after sleeping in, and made some pancakes for the kids. It was good. I've got two epic collections to show you today. One is a classic era and one is a modern era. Which should we check out first? Classic or modern? I think we'll go with the classic one first. Good evening, everyone. You must be on the other side of the world because it is morning here in sunny Vancouver, Canada. Here we have The Defenders, Volume 2. Enter the Headmen. I've been waiting for this one for a while. Volume 1 came out a couple years ago and it was a lot of fun. And so yeah, I've been really waiting for the follow-up, Volume 2. This is some straight great stuff from Len Wein and Steve Gerber. And let me see here. I think Sal Buscema does most of the art, if not all of the art. Oh no, yeah, Sal Buscema, Jim Starlin, Gil Kane, George Tuska, Don Heck, Jack Kirby, Bill Everett, Steve Ditko, Bob Powell. Wow, Doug Wildey does some work in here. That's amazing. Tony Isabella, Chris Claremont, Jim Starlin, Stanley Britt, Steve Ditko, Danny O'Neill, Larry Lieber, so many names. Paul S. New, he's a guy from the Silver Age. Um, this is an interesting volume. I haven't read very much of it, but I have read. Well, there's some Steve Ditko right there for you. This is a Doctor Strange story, I guess. Yep. Um, so let me see here. Let's see if I can find it. There are a few reprints scattered throughout here, like this Bill Everett classic Golden Age Namor story, and um, and then yeah, Steve Ditko Doctor Strange story. I think they kind of worked them into some of these early issues here, which is why we get a lot of those. Oh, this is Giant Size Defenders #1, which is why we get a lot of credits like Jack Kirby and stuff because they have some reprint issues here. So let me see if I can find it. I think they're at the back. The Headmen are a group of 3 really bizarre characters who show up in these pages here in Steve Gerber's run, and he pulled them from some very old comics. And, um, let me see, some golden age Marvel comics. They're just throwaway characters in some of these random stories, and they brought them back as kind of twisted, grotesque villains. And so it's kind of cool that they included their first appearances from the golden age in the back of the book here as well. So there you go. Lots of really cool things here. There's the Thing in a team up story. Luke Cage. Lots of guest stars in this one. Hailstrong. I think you can see a lot of the people who eventually will become mainstay characters in the Defenders kind of come out in this volume right here. Although the core of the team is still Doctor Strange and the Hulk. I don't think Silver Surfer's on it at this time anymore. Um, oh, who remembers that guy? This is great. Do you know who these guys are? Very famous. Oh, look at that. Nice big splash page. A little bit of gutter loss in there. That's too bad, but that's okay. It's still, yeah, you can still even read the text that goes across the gap. Okay, let's see. We got a lot of comments. Does Omar know about your stuffed Alf? I think he does. Next warehouse sale in Leeds should be end of June. Did really well on Epics last time. Yeah, really cheap warehouse sale, right? Um, The Steve Gerber Defenders comics are terrific, a personal favorite. I've come to know that Steve Gerber, I really like his style. He's just kind of wacky and loony and goes for the kind of the more bizarre stuff. His Howard the Duck is great, and his Defenders is really good too. I've got a large bunch of epics, and now Curtis is live. I'm sure he times these to give me give Marvel more money. um, Probably, yes, I do. Hearing Jim Starlin's name in there made me realize we haven't got any Adam Warlock or Marvel epics. Hopefully, we'll see them soon. I hope so too. Um, yeah, I really hope that we see those as well. It would be wonderful to get those lines. They're kind of the missing pieces of the early days of Marvel as far as the epic collections are concerned. Older stuff with a few framing pages when a deadline wasn't going to be met. It's an old trick. Yeah, and I love it. And I so in the Doctor Strange epic collection, a separate reality. There are a few of those instances where they had to do the framing sequences for old Steve Ditko issues, but they didn't reprint those issues in that Epic collection, probably because those same stories were in a previous Epic collection. But they did choose to uh, to sh- to include them here, which is kind of cool. So that's nice. Get a little bit more bang for your buck, and if you have the extra pages to be able to handle that, then why not, right? That's great. So yeah, lots of really cool stuff here. Um, Excited to read these stories because I'm sure they are going to be wacky and loony. And man, what a lineup of all-star Marvel talent! Kind of like everybody who was working for Marvel at the time. Doom Ball, look at that. The Wrecking Crew and the Defenders. That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, there's a nice big. They didn't leave it totally black. They put a little corner box logo in there. That's kind of nice. Okay, so giant size defenders. Okay, what issues are these? Defenders 12 to 25, plus giant size numbers 1 through 4, Marvel 2 and 1, 6 and 7, and then material from the Golden Age comics that I was telling you about Mystery Tales 21, World of Fantasy 11, and Tales of Suspense number 9, which I believe those are the titles to the 1970s reprints, which were contemporary to these issues. Um, Someone can correct me if I'm wrong there. I don't know if all the giant size issues are collected in here. Oh, yeah, that one is. Yeah, okay. So yeah, they're not all reprints. They're full issues. That's a lot of issues. If we're talking Defenders 12 to 25 plus Giant Size 1 to 4 and a two-part Marvel 2-in-1 story. Remember that these issues, I think, were the page counts were fewer at the time. Marvel cut back page counts. Um, but and so we can fit more issues into each one of these epics, but uh, it's still the same page count. Let's see how many pages we're talking about here. It's about 460 pages, so it's under 500 still. That's pretty amazing. Here's the corner box. Oh, can we see that? I don't know if we can see that. Yeah, there we go. Still waiting for Marvel to give us Jessica Drew epics. Are these the same Headman Byrne used in his early issues of She-Hulk? Yes, they are. Um, Byrne always liked bringing back early characters, but as a Bronze fan, I didn't always know they were older characters. Yeah, it's always great when you find out, you feel like you are let in on a little secret. Oh yeah, here's the next one. Modern Era Epic Collection for New X-Men. This is Volume 1. E is for Extinction. And this is a very popular Modern Era X-Men run by Grant Morrison and Frank Quietly, among others, or Quietly, Frank Quietly, among others. Um, there's an image. Both of these images are pretty iconic to this run here. They're pretty famous. And this coincided with the movie era X-Men, which is why they kind of all have the black leather now, because the movie was a big influence on the way X-Men was portrayed at the time. And Frank Quietly is one of these guys where you either love him or hate him. He's got some weird choices in the way he designs his characters. Like a lot of people don't like his faces, but he's very good. He tells the story well. I love how he's made the X's and the costumes, and even Emma's revealing top is an X as well. Thought that was kind of cool. Um, this is X Men Volume 2. So, like X Men number 1 in the 90s, the Jim Lee issue, that continued until issue number 113, and then they changed the name to New X-Men. It was a soft reboot, and all the story arc, new character designs, all that kind of stuff. It was a new era for X-Men, and it coincided with Uncanny X-Men, kind of a soft reboot there as well, with Morrison writing that one as well. The Poptopia story, I think, was the first story arc. And so, yeah, you want to take a look inside? This one is a lot more mature, as you can tell from the blood spatters right in the first page that I turned to. Um, we're going to see a lot of a new villain, a couple of new villains on the rise here as they take on the X. Why are oh yeah, there's one issue in here that is completely sideways. It's the annual X-Men annual, new X-Men annual 2001. They decided to do it all landscape, which was a fine for a single issue, but makes for a little bit harder reading as a collected edition, and I can't even imagine what it would be like reading an omnibus with this issue here. Lionel Francis Yu doing the artwork on that one. He had a good run in the Krakoa era as well. A bunch of new X-Men come into play here, like Beak. He's still around, I think, now. Wolverine goes through I'm sorry, Beast goes through a secondary mutation, and same with Jean Grey. She gets her crystal form. There's a lot of new concepts that have become kind of mainstays for the X-Men throughout this run here. I can't remember the flying character's name. I think it's been so long since I've read these issues. It's going to be nice to revisit these. Um, so this, or I saw one comment come by here. Perfectly timed release because of the events of the show. If you were watching the X-Men 97, there are events in that show, especially in the first few episodes, that are directly pulled from this story arc right here. And from what the rumors are, there's going to be some of the elements from the story in the upcoming Deadpool movie as well. So perfectly timed for both of those reasons, not just the show, but the upcoming movie as well. Yes, you can see a couple people are pointing that out here. Replacing my new X-Men digests with the binding that just flat out failed. Pages coming up from the first read. That's not good. Um, I've got the old edition of the new X-Men, the Ultimate edition, and I don't recall. I don't think any pages fell out when I read that one. Let's see here. I have new X-Men collected already, but might have to buy these anyway. The Epic format is perfect for reading. This one, by the way, is a direct print of the old Ultimate collection. There's nothing new about the contents. It's exactly the same. And I don't even know if the contents of the bonus features are any different either. They might be, but I'm going to guess that they probably aren't unless they found some new stuff more recently. Um, or maybe like new, they'll probably put in the, yeah, I don't even know. I think it's all the same. So if you have that old one, you can choose either you want it to look nice on your shelf with the title that matches the rest of the Epic collections, or you're fine with the other one. It was collected in 3 volumes, the new X-Men Ultimate Collection. This one most likely go on further than that. There will be a volume 4 because, of course, the title did continue after the Morrison run was over, but we'll have to see how that goes. Boy, yeah, some pretty wacky stuff in here. I think this first story arc is probably the most iconic. You're gonna see some pretty brutal things in there. Let's see, what else are people saying here? How will they collect AVX? Just the tie-ins or the whole event? It's a great question. As far as I know, the Epics haven't really been putting in any of the uh, big story, standalone story arcs. If they're like big events, they haven't been putting those in. The only time they put in events is if the core title actually has a tie-in to the story, like is actually part of the story. So, for instance, um, the Spider Girl Epic Collection, no, sorry, the Spider Gwen Epic Collection had the whole Spider Women storyline, but that's because like actual chapters from that storyline were part of Spider Girl, and the Deadpool crossover story, "Till Death Do Us," is going to be in Deadpool, Spider-Man, Deadpool Volume 2, because those chapters are actual chapters in the actual event, so they're not just tie-ins. But for something like Dark Avengers, where Siege is a pretty important part to the story, but none of the Dark Avengers parts are actual chapters in the story. They're tie-ins, so they didn't put that event in there. I think that's kind of how they're handling things. This contains my boy Beak. Yes, Frank Quitely's art is definitely an acquired taste. I'm more of a fan of Phil Jimenez's work on later on in the run. Yeah. That annual was weird, not the sideways thing, but the binding. Yeah, so the binding, if I remember correctly, they bound it on the short end. They didn't just make you turn the thing sideways. That's right. It opened up this way, which actually was the way that it should have opened up. So actually that was kind of nice that they did that way. I remember that now. But of course you can't reproduce that in a collection like this. So they have to do this. Jean Grey, did I say did I say Jean Grey got the secondary mutation? I meant Emma Frost. You're right. Absolutely. Emma Frost got her. That's the problem with these live streams. I'm talking and I have to kind of fill a silence, and sometimes my brain doesn't catch up to what I'm saying here. Also, I'm very happy that X-Men 97 had a major plot point directly from this run. Yes, that's right. Loved this run, a huge Morrison and Quitely fan. This was the first time I enjoyed the X-Men after not being into the 90s X-Men growing up. I think a lot of people were in the same boat. I certainly was in the same boat. I had dropped off X-Men a couple of years before that. They were kind of not doing anything really spectacular, and it was It was sucking up a lot of my money, and I didn't really care for it, and then the movies hit, and I remember that first movie, I loved it, and the second movie was great too, and, even though we look back at them now and we're like, What were they thinking? They could have done this so much better," but at the time, they were fantastic, and we loved them, and so when this reboot came out and they looked shows they were taking X-Men way more seriously than they were before, it was quite a big deal. Uh, didn't they adapt these costumes for Dark Phoenix, the movie? Did they? I don't remember. I don't even remember if I saw that movie. I wonder if we'll get event epics like DC Finest is doing. I would love to see that. I hope that they do. I think it would be a great idea. And also because some of those the tie-ins, some of those events have just random miniseries that don't actually tie into any one particular character. So to be able to have an event and then kind of collect all of those extraneous miniseries along with it would be very, very cool. Dark Avengers included the X-Men Genosha crossover, but didn't put it in the earlier complete collections. Not quite the same, but more complete. Yeah, you're right. They did do that. And that was an interesting choice to do that because they didn't have to, but I'm glad that they did because the events of that story shaped the rest of the Dark Avengers run after that. It had huge implications. I dropped X-Men with Age of Apocalypse, but you were just looking for an excuse. I loved Age of Apocalypse. I thought that story was so good. The one thing that DC's upcoming Epic Line competitor is specifically going to have special events category. First one has been announced as Zero Hour. You are correct. That will be great to see what the follow-ups are. There are a lot of DC events as well, although maybe not as many. I mean, I'm not very familiar with DC as a whole, but I don't feel like they did the whole annual thing, like they did with like Marvel does with theirs. First time catch one of these lives. Oh, why am I back at the beginning of my comments here? There we go. Is there any Marvel license or Disney property that you'd like to see get the epic treatment? Specifically stuff that Marvel and DC owns. Um, Indiana Jones. That would be a really good one. I'd love to see Indiana Jones epics. Um, I would love to see just Disney comics be epic collections. Could you imagine a line of Uncle Scrooge epic collections going back to the 1940s? I mean, I know we have those. I've been buying all of those Carl Barks libraries, but that's just the Carl Barks stuff. There are so many other artists who took on Uncle Scrooge and did stories over the years. And not just that, if if they open the door to Disney, there's so much Disney content in comics through the golden age and through the 60s and 70s, and even through the 90s as well. Like, it would just be it would the list would be as long as this list. That'd be great. I love Disney comics. I've bought a ton of them over the years. Oh, X-Files epics would be nice. Yeah, because X-Files is a Fox property. So is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So all of the Buffy universe stuff could go under the Marvel collection once. Who has the is it Boom that has the license for that stuff now? I can't remember. And I know, yeah, that would be pretty amazing, all of those. Yeah, there are now that they have Fox, like, I'd love to see more Planet of the Apes. I hope they don't stop with just 1 volume. It would be great if they had, more because so many different characters had sorry, so many different comic companies had the Planet of the Apes, license over the years, and, including Malibu. So, would you be able to, uh, collect all of that stuff into an epic collection line for Planet of the Apes? I think so. You could call it Planet of the Apes Chronicles or something and put them all there. That'd be great. Boom doesn't seem to have Buffy rights anymore, so Marvel, get in there. Yeah, why not? You could. There's so much Buffy content. They could be pumping out those epics like crazy. Um, sorry, just seen that you're alive. Have you talked about new X Men already? I have. But is there anything in particular you want to say about New X-Men, um, this is a fun book. There's lots of cool stuff in here, including this character. What was her name? Was it Pixie? She and Beak have a they form a family, I think, and have some kids later on in the story. Some great moments with the Phoenix. Phoenix is going to play a big role in the second story arc, I think, if I remember correctly. But this one, Frank Quitely has a really cool way of telling a story. He reminds me a lot of um, Mobius and just his use of negative space in his thin line work with great detail. I think that there's a lot of Mobius in Quietly's work here. Um, doesn't reach, of course, the high standard that Mobius set for himself, but still pretty out there, pretty out there thinking. And Mobius was also a pretty out there thinker as well. A lot of his stories are high concepts and just wonderful. Pixie is the Welsh magical teleporter. That's right. The one with the pink hair, right? Her name is Angel. Yeah, that's right. Angel. It's all coming back to me now. It's been a long time since I've read these stories. Yeah, there she is right there. Angel. Um, oh, and Martha. We're getting a bunch of the new characters that have become mainstays in the X-Men world. They all started here. We're going to meet the Imperial Guard in this volume. I love the intro of Angel. She's the opposite of Kitty Pryde. Now that we're getting Star Wars modern epics, I wonder how they'll collect novel adaptations since some of those are manga, not comics. I don't think that they will. They, I believe, because Disney does a thing where they like to license out different portions of their licenses to different companies. So that's why a bunch of different companies right now have the Disney license because it's like Fantagraphics can do classic Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck, and they have the license for some international Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck like the classic characters. Now, Dynamite currently has the license for modern characters like Disney Afternoon and some of the villains and that kind of thing. They license out Stitch to a manga company, so there's manga Stitch Comics, um, and Star Wars is kind of the same thing. They like to license out their all ages Star Wars stuff, stuff that's based on TV show properties. Go to some other companies. The manga is also the same story. Um, Manga is the license is with a manga company apparently, or something like that, or it's just not part of the package that Marvel has. That's what I understand, at least. I think Mike Henson was trying to tell me about that. That's what I gathered from that conversation. Frank quietly ended up taking over Mobius's Sandman Destiny story after he became too sick to finish it. Wow, I did not know that. So the connection, the obvious connection is right there. That's amazing. Yeah, I should check that out. I've never read that before. Hello, Dan. I just wondered what you thought of Morrison's run and which do you prefer, New X-Men or Whedon's Astonishing X-Men? Wow. Um, that's a great question. They are both so different. Well, I really liked the beginning of Morrison's runs on both this and Uncanny. I think that it kind of went into some weird places toward the end. I didn't particularly like the issues that Mark Silvestri was writing. I don't even know if Morrison was still writing it at that time. I think he was, but um, I I enjoyed these first couple of volumes quite a bit, and as far as better, man, better than Whedon's Astonishing, I'm not sure. I think I like Whedon's Astonishing because it had such a great movie cinematic style to it, really epic in its storytelling. I liked the concepts of the mutant cure in Whedon's Astonishing X-Men. So maybe Astonishing gets the point, for that. Yeah. Assuming the younger reader, Star Wars Adventures won't be in the Epic line. Yeah, that's the all ages stuff that I'm talking about. I don't think it's part of the package that Marvel is allowed to reprint. I doubt it'll ever happen since the rights are spread across various companies, but Disney is co-producing and Marvel UK prints the magazine strip Doctor Who. So Doctor Who epics would be, well, epic. Yeah, that's another one. Um, Not just the UK stuff, didn't they? They had an American Doctor Who, which actually might have just been reprints of the of the um yeah, it might have just been reprints of the UK material. I'm not sure. The Destiny story is in the Endless Nights anthology. Tons of great artists doing short stories with Gaiman on the end on all of the Endless. Yeah, very cool. I should check that out. Endless Nights. I'll take a look for it. Let's see here. And don't forget, Astonishing has John Cassidy's art, which is excellent. You're right. It's very, very good. More accessible than Morrison. Not mired in controversy like some of the other creators on in this book. And so yeah, it's very yeah, I think I might give Astonishing the edge over this one, but I still do really enjoy New X-Men also. So let's also not forget we talked about Defenders, everybody. This is while it doesn't have the same sort of acclaim as New X-Men, this is still a lot of fun. I really am a big fan of Steve Gerber and Sal Buscema, so these stories are excellent and a lot of fun. Um, the magazine license for Doctor Who was part of the Panini takeover of the Marvel UK catalog, separate to the comic license that has been at IDW and Titan. Okay, there you go. That's very interesting. I did not know that either. Yeah, the international rights of comics is such an interesting thing to pay attention to. It's uh it works so differently. Who doesn't love the Headman? Ruby Thursday. Let's see if we can find a picture of Ruby Thursday. 'Cause she is just so funny. Um, she cut off her own head and replaced it with a computer. That's what how the story goes, right? Again, it's been a long time since I've read these stories too. Um, where is what issues are those? I'm not finding it. I don't know where those Headman stories are. But yeah, very funny. Those characters are just so bizarre, so wacky. Um, Enter the Headman, number 21, 286. I do like that they have a table of contents. Okay, come on, Ruby Tuesday. I am still not seeing. Oh well, you know what? Gonna have to read it. Ruby Thursday. Ruby Thursday would be in volume 3. That's why I can't find it. There you go. Marvel team up story. Marvel 2 in 1 actually. Marvel Oh yeah, that's what MTO, Marvel 2 in 1 story. Yes, with Valkyrie. Um yeah, very good. Okay, so the date that these go on sale, June 25th. June 25th for both of these. And if you're wondering, this is epic number 377, and this is epic number 378. And next week, I should be sharing about another modern era epic collection. Next week, I should be sharing about this one right here, Hawkeye. Can you see that? Hawkeye, The Reunion. I know very little about this title, made up of a bunch of little mini series and such. So there we go. Will we reach 400 this year? I believe so. I think if all goes according to plan, number 400 is supposed to be um, maybe Moon Knight or Ghost Rider in October. If you can believe that, 400 epics. So we got 300 last year, and this year 400, so 500 next year. Um, yeah, I mean they're just ramping up the production of these. Hey, so it's not quite a yearly thing. We got to 300 at the beginning, close to the beginning of last year, I think. And then we had another 50 epic collections in the remainder of that year, and then 50 epic collections in this year. So we're getting to 400 at the end of this year. So that means it's going to be probably be, if they keep up the same rate, we'll get probably to 500 in 2026, maybe mid 2026. But that's pretty quick. An oddity, the old Panini Death's Head trade, they does include the Seventh Doctor material that the more recent Marvel trade couldn't include. Yeah, it's all up to contracts, whatever the agreed, whatever the agreement says. So if they have worked it out with the owners of Doctor Who, then that's great. I mean, it means that maybe they take a little bit less of a cut in the terms of the profits because they have to have a separate, smaller license to get the Doctor Who stuff in there. Um, but I think it's kind of worth it. 100 Carnage and Deadpool epics next year. Yeah, let's see it. They could do that. Speaking of the numbers of epics, do you think we'll get a reprint of Power Man Iron Fist Volume 2 with the missing ROM issue put back into it? I don't think we are going to see that. I think that the license that they have probably only includes um, it probably only includes the actual ROM collections. So we would see if they were going to do ROM epic collections, which I sure hope that they do, and get them out fast so that we can get all of them. Um, we will see the Power Man and Iron Fist issue in that collection, but I don't think we're going to see a reprint issue where they put the the ROM story in. It just wouldn't make sense because then it would be one printing. The light will expire, and then they'll have to go back to making new printings of that without the ROM story, and I just think they'll keep it consistent. To make everyone jealous, Curtis has all the epics. I do. I have the I had the benefit of jumping on really early, and so when I jumped on, there were only maybe 20 epics out, and only one of them was out of print. It was Dawn's Early Light, and I had to find that one in a comic book store, and I was able to catch up really quick. I can't imagine people trying to get on now with, nearly 400 epic collections, trying to get them all. It's an enormous task. Um, and then yeah, I know Marvel graciously supplies me with these advanced copies, and I'm forever grateful to them for that. So thank you to David Gabriel and to the folks at Marvel for that. Um, we got an MCU tie-in Omni a while back, MCU Epic. Personally, I don't care about any of that material. If they got it, then great, I get it. I'll read it, but it's not high on my list. That's for sure. Do you see any chance of Indiana Jones issues coming in the Epic lines, or are an Omni more likely first? Um, Great question. I think if they were to do Omnis, they might do the Marvel related stuff first, like the further adventures of Indiana Jones, release that in an Omni, and maybe do like the Dark Horse material in Epic format first. They certainly did that with the Conan stuff. The Marvel stuff got the priority in Omni, while the Epics got the Dark Horse stuff all first. So I think they could do that with Indiana Jones. I wonder if they do a classic illustrated epic collection. That would be fun. Well, classic illustrated, um, you're talking about like the big omnibus that they had of the classic stories, right? Because Classics Illustrated is an actual comic book company that does those old adaptations, 60-page adaptations and such. Um, that like Marvel would have to gain a license for that if they wanted to do it. But If you're talking about just that Omni that they did of the Marvel produced adaptations, then that'd be cool. Yeah, absolutely. I'd be up for that. I love those. I have a filing cabinet drawer full of those different comic book adaptations of classic literature. It's really, really fun. Any reprint this week? No, this is a reprint free week. Last week we had last week I showed off X-Men The Old Republic. Before that, it was The Gift. And then next week, I think we'll be able to see nothing next week either. And then the week after that was The Return of the Sinister Six on July 9th. So, yeah, we have a couple of reprint free weeks. Very interesting. Sorry, I meant the Marvel Classic comic series. Yeah, that's right. So I would be totally up for that. I would love to get that material. Also, because it's just a bunch of great, like um, what am I trying to say? Artists and writers. It's the classic Marvel team doing their thing, just with the reprints. I mean, with the adaptations. Was Marvel able to print all the Dark Horse Conan stuff in epics? No, they were not. They were able to get all of the ongoing series, and they were able to get some of the King Conan material out. A second volume was solicited, but then they lost the license, and so that one got scrapped. We never got that second half. And then there were a bunch of like standalone stories, I think, that were in some collections that were not labeled epics, but they were reprinted. They were just not labeled epics, and I can't remember the names of those ones. Surprised you said Dawn's Early Light was one you had issues tracking. I got the OG printing last year simply because it was cheaper. You're right. There was a weird period where um I think so Marvel, here's my guess. Marvel printed a lot, like a lot of the first bunches of Epic collections because they didn't know what the popularity would be. They didn't have their pre-orders or whatever, so they printed a ton. So those early volumes, they didn't sell out very fast at all because they had so many. That's my guess. But they're sitting in the Diamond Warehouse or whatever, and so there was a period of time where they all sold out on the vendor at the retail level, and people hadn't reordered any from the vendor yet, and so it got it got really hard to track those ones down. Even but even you couldn't even order from like from Diamond. Diamond didn't have their stock from Marvel or something like that. I don't know, but anyway, it eventually did come back, and I think Dawn's Early Light. Uh, is it still is it still available? It might still be available. Okay, how many epics are needed to complete runs on Avengers, Spider-Man, FF, Hulk, and Daredevil Volume 1? About 5 for each. Daredevil has just a couple, I think. You want to see my little spreadsheet? Let me share my screen here. Uh, okay, so take a look at this. This is a this is a spreadsheet that I use to track all the volumes by date. You can see the date column up at the top with the 1, 2, 3, 4 refers to the quarter of the year that it was released. So it's generally speaking when the issues were released. So and then I have if you hover over all of these, you can see the contents of each volume. So Fantastic Four, we still need volumes 11 through 16. That's it because volume 25 gets us right up to Heroes Reborn. There will be volumes after this, but as far as this is concerned, volume one of the title, we only need 6 more volumes. Incredible Hulk, we need 10, 11, and 12, and then 16 and 17 and 18. So that's 6, and then 23 is number 7. So that this one's a little bit different because volume one. Oh yeah, volume one stops right there, I think. So that yeah, that is that one. Thor, we only need volume 13, 14, and 15. That's it. This is the Walter Simonson run right there. That's the only thing that's missing. Amazing Spider-Man, we need 11, 12, 13, 14, and 16 plus Spider-Man Volume 1 goes on for a long time, so there's multiple volumes way on the end there. That one's gonna take a lot of work. Iron Man, we still need 6, 7, 8, and 9. No, sorry, 7, 8, and 9, and 12, and 9. So that's what did I say there? 5 volumes. Um, Doctor Strange just needs 6 and 7 and 12, so 3 volumes for Doctor Strange. Avengers needs 12, 14, and 15, and there's going to be a 27 and probably a 28 as well. So that's 5 volumes there. X-Men still needs a bunch because they get so tied into miniseries or whatever. So the volumes of fewer contents as far as the main title is concerned. Daredevil, we need 8, 9, 10, and 11. Just 4 volumes. Captain America is doing the best, I think. We only need 2 volumes here to complete all of it. Just volume 7 and 8. That's it, because then we have all the way up to Heroes Reborn. Um, and then Silver Surfer just needs volume 2, of course, plus volumes 10, 11, and 12. And I'm guessing that there's going to be a volume 15, even though his series ended with volume 14. Or did it? I can't remember. Volume 146? I can't remember if that's the end or not. But there's some extra content that I think. No, yeah, that's the end. So anyway, the that's where we're at with the main bulk of the long running titles. Pretty cool stuff, huh? I think it's neat to see how all of it laid out. When I first made this spreadsheet, there were only, like I said, there were only about 20 epic collections, so it looks so sparse. But to have these lines so filled out now is just pretty amazing. Very cool to see. A spreadsheet for the ages. Okay. Let's see. I'll stop sharing that. Do you have any French comics? I'm a fan of Cinebook, getting a lot of the translated series in print. I have a lot of the SF books. Science fiction? Is that what you mean by that? SF? Um, I love French comics. I have a bunch of them too. Of course, I have a, a complete collection of Tintin and almost complete collection of Asterix. I have a lot of the Smurfs, but then I have a lot of the other titles like the Adele Saint Blanc and the stuff from Jacques Tardy and Mobius. Of course, I've got the Mobius library and like the Blueberry albums that Marvel put out and stuff. And um, it's uh, what else? Freddie Lombard and boy, so much. Wake. Um, Couple volumes of Valerian. Yeah, there's just some amazing French comics out there. Really cool stuff. Uh, Lucky Luke and Gaston. I don't have any Lucky Luke or Gaston. I should get some of those because those are pretty classic as well. But yeah, French comics are just so different. It's amazing because you look at them, and a lot of them go back so far, like 1940s. Um, there's a comic called what is it called? The Yellow M, and you read that and it reads so contemporary for being from like the 1940s or whatever. um like it's just incredible. They were so far ahead of storytelling compared to like the early days of Superman, which would have been their contemporaries. um just a world of difference from American comics. And so if you haven't checked out any French or European comics, you definitely should check them out. There's just so much incredible stuff out there. And a lot of it, honestly, is better than American superhero comics. Other than Amazing Spider-Man, how many of the classic epic lines are going to extend past Heroes Reborn? I think all of them will, for the most part. Do I need to turn on my spreadsheet again? Because, well, I mean, Ant-Man probably won't. Namor probably won't. But Thor already has with the Lost Gods, which is coming out in a couple weeks. Amazing Spider-Man will. Iron Man will go into Heroes Return. Doctor Strange probably won't. Although there is you could probably get a volume 14 out of Doctor Strange with some of the different appearances or miniseries that came after that in the Marvel Knights era. Um, Avengers definitely will. X-Men, who knows what's happening with X-Men? Although the volume ones being here tells me that the classic stuff will extend all the way to 2001 to butt up with this stuff. Black Widow, nope. Black Widow will start with Marvel Knights. Hawkeye is extending volume 4 of Hawkeye is extending all the way to 2008. Daredevil won't, because Daredevil volume Modern Era is going to start with Heroes with Marvel Knights, it seems. Captain America will go through Heroes Return and then Silver Surfer, I'm not sure. So yeah, I mean, most of them are going to extend past Onslaught. Wake was the title they put on in the early volumes of Sillage that got translated. Yes, with censored nudity. Yes, that is correct. It is a really great comic of just like sci-fi storytelling, incredible world building. Um, they did, I think they did 5 volumes of the first 7 albums, and then they changed the name. I should check that out. I haven't bought any of the Sillage ones, but yeah. Cinebook censors a lot of their content to make it a little bit more appropriate for American, whatever that means. Um, but you'll find that a lot of their nudity is censored. Another series that I really, really like is the stuff from Leo, like Aldebaran and Beetlejuice. Those stories are absolutely incredible. Some of my favorite science fiction from Cinebook. So if you haven't checked those ones out, they're so good. I always wondered if Woody's design in Toy Story was based on Lucky Luke. Yeah, I don't know. Um maybe it is. I have no idea. I'm hoping for the Cap by Wade and Garney complete collections that will be reprinted as epics like Spider-Girl. I bet they will. I'm pretty sure that we will see that happen. Do you think the Namor epics will collect the Burn 90s run? I do think that they will do that. Yes. And I part of me hopes that they skip ahead and do a 90s volume and then kind of flop back and forth like they're doing with some of the other titles. Flop back and forth between those 2 runs. That'd be great. Okay, my mouth is getting dry from talking so much, everybody. I think I need to sign off, but one more look at these. New X-Men Epic Collection, Volume 1, E is for Extinction, and Defenders Classic Epic Collection, Volume 2, Enter the Headmen. I hope that everybody enjoys their weekend. I'm going to go to VanCaf today, the Vancouver Comic Arts Festival. If any of you are in Vancouver and are going to that, you can find me there and say hi. I'll be wearing the shirt. Okay. Um, oh yeah, one last comment. I'm glad that you're reading that. It is so good. The World of Aldebaran is so good. Um, yeah, make sure that everybody reads that one. It's well worth your time. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope that you hit the like button. There's only 7 likes I can see in my little counter up at the top there. I want everybody, this is your homework before you leave this live stream, hit the like button. And just helps me out with the algorithms and all that kind of stuff. But thanks for watching, everyone. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your comments. You are all wonderful. See you later.